So the changes that have occurred overnight are that Tropical Cyclone Jasper has actually eased slightly to a Category 1 system, but we do expect it to re-intensify once again to a Category 2 system later this morning, and we expect it to be a Category 2 system at the time of crossing. Now, the latest on that is that will occur late this afternoon or early this evening, somewhere between Cooktown and Port Douglas, most likely a little to the north of Wujal. Now, when the system crosses the coast, that's when we're going to see the most dangerous and intense weather. It includes destructive winds near and south of the system that could reach up to 140 kilometres an hour, in combination with intense rainfall that may lead to life-threatening flash flooding. On the waters, we're going to have the storm tide risk as well, leading to that potential for inundation, particularly if it coincides with high tide. That is all around the centre of the system, but much more broadly across our tropical cyclone warning area, which extends from Cape Melville down to Lucinda and across those inland areas as well, we are expecting widespread gale force winds and heavy rainfall to develop through this morning and continuing through this afternoon. So still a really dynamic situation, I would say, because it's continuing to have these little tweaks and changes as the system nears the coast, but the main message is crossing is expected late this afternoon or early this evening.
At the moment it's travelling, well, I can jog faster than this system's moving towards the coast, and I'm not a runner. Is that going to make things trickier or worse perhaps on the ground?
It certainly does. I mean, even in the last 12 hours or so, we have seen the system slow slightly in its westerly trajectory. So our initial estimates had the coastal crossing a little bit earlier in the day, but now they've pushed it back to later in the day. And this may continue to happen through the rest of today as the system nears the coast. So really, the advice to anyone in the warning areas, particularly between Cooktown and Port Douglas, is just keep on top of those updates. Listen to all your advice from the emergency services as well.
It might be a bit frustrating for people, especially, around Cairns and to the south of the system where we're expecting to see the wildest weather. You're now giving hourly updates. Do you think much could change between now and landfall?
Look, the broad picture message is not going to change, which is that this cyclone is going to bring some really dangerous and really destructive weather. The minute details of exactly where along the coast it might cross may change, but those warning areas should remain largely static. So if you've been in those warning areas for the last 2 days already, be aware that that risk is still valid for you, even if that cyclone crossing point may change a little through the course of the day.
Hey Miriam, from here, what's next for Jasper?
So Jasper is expected to rapidly weaken as it moves over land. This is usually what we see happen with tropical cyclones because it leaves that warm ocean water and moves over those comparatively cooler sometimes land areas. So by tomorrow morning, we're actually expecting it to drop back to a tropical low category, then continue across Cape York. So still very windy and wet conditions moving across Cape York with that system, but they're unlikely to be as intense as they will be along the coast today, closer to that crossing.